What is good, GBO crew? It is your girl back with another video. As you can see, we have a sit down, let's talk video today, except it's a little bit different because it's basically like a video essay, I guess, in a sense, as you can see by the title. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that stuff. You guys know the fancy intro for these types of videos. Let's just get right into it. So I kind of do believe it was like divine timing, divine intervention, or whatever, because this is actually the second time I've attempted to film this video. The first time I was honestly on a time crunch and I felt like I was talking way too fast, and I felt like I think my point got across, but I just did not like how it came out. I didn't even watch the video back, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, we're doing this again. But in the meantime, while I was formulating more of my thoughts and knew I was going to come back to film this video, unfortunately, there was a case of another black woman talking about a experience that was painful to her on TikTok. Once again, a video that was originally on TikTok that got moved to Twitter, and the ridicule came and started again. The inspiration for this video came from initially a video of a young black woman who, like the other girl this past month, posted a video on TikTok, and it got to Twitter, and she was talking about her dating experience being 30 and in LA, and how she's just been really struggling and how it's difficult. And for a few days, the quoted tweets, the replies, it was tough to watch this young black woman just be vulnerable on camera, and then the reaction to that was just very disheartening. But the basis for this video was going to come from some of my own tweets, so let's just start there. This is kind of like my thesis, like my little intro paragraph, if you will. So I said, after seeing the video of the other black girl, which, by the way, I'm not going to put those videos in here because actually that would defeat my purpose, because I don't want to give people further ammunition to go and watch those videos and leave hurtful comments, very insensitive comments towards those black women. I feel like they have been through enough, and because I have to consider the fact that there is somebody watching this that does not care about all what I'm talking about. They're probably here to be messy and here for tea, so I'm not going to do that. But I initially tweeted, and this was really just an in the moment thing. I hadn't really even formulated my thoughts, but after this tweet, that's when I was like, I got it. I said, I need y'all to think twice before sharing videos of black women crying to Twitter. The audience is different here, and we all know that. Don't be dense. If they intended it for a certain audience on a specific platform, it was for a reason. And let me just go a little bit deeper, even though I think it's pretty clear what I was saying. When videos from TikTok get shared to Twitter, the audience is a little bit different. Now, if it's comedy, mostly anyone's going to laugh anyway. But I think specifically when it comes to sharing videos of black women that are being vulnerable on camera, meaning that you can see them crying or whatever, the responses that those videos get on Twitter is always more than likely drastically different than the type of responses that those women got on their TikTok platforms. And I feel like everyone knows that Twitter is for jokes, and honestly, Twitter can be a very mean place. And I just didn't like seemingly what was becoming a trend of seeing two black women in 1 month post videos talking about an experience that is hurtful or painful to them, and then automatically being ridiculed. I'm aware that this is the internet and videos have a tendency to cross platforms, but I'm worried that this is becoming a trend that ultimately will open black women up to being ridiculed for showing themselves in a vulnerable state. Black women being vulnerable openly is not normalized enough. Although people like myself appreciate those that choose to bear themselves in such a way because we all experience pain, the risk of being made fun of are much higher for black women. For the second time this month, I'm seeing a black woman get belittled for choosing to talk about an experience that hurt her. I feel like sharing these videos makes us an easier target for negativity and hate. The intent behind sharing them is concerning to me. So with that being said, in general, the last part of that rant was just, there's no empathy on Twitter, okay? So please keep that in mind, even if like your intentions are pure when you are sharing those videos, because I do think it's a good thing that we are having more conversations about how people in general just desire love. We want to be in a relationship. Like, I get that, and I just do not like the imbalance I see right now is that when black women express that, and if they do happen to be crying while expressing that, it's not the same type of empathy or, oh, you know, it's okay. Now, I can't say that all the responses to those two young black women's videos were negative. I believe they both said that there were some women on TikTok, you know, that reached out to them. They're like, hey, I'm going through the same thing. I know what you're feeling. You're not alone in this. And I believe the first girl who was talking about her experience while dating in LA stated that, there was someone that reached out to her like, hey, you're not alone in this. And she said that was her point in posting the video in the first place. She just wanted to know that she was not alone in what she was experiencing. The thing about both of these situations, they're obviously very similar. Two black women, both crying on camera, both having to do with dating. The second girl who I saw, going through the same thing, getting the same backlash, she is doing like, I guess, her Journey Through Heartbreak series on TikTok. Any woman, especially any black woman that chooses to get up on social media and talk about things that are personal to them, things that are traumatic, things that have hurt them, I admire, because it's not easy. And I think one of the reasons why watching what happened to these two black women hurt me so much is because I remember a year ago, I think it was a year ago, it was a video of this young white girl. I believe she was like on the floor of her bathroom. She was crying. She had witnessed a really intimate moment between a young couple on a plane, and she had like pretty much an internal crisis because she was like, I've never experienced that, and I've never had that, and it was something that even as well, I'm like, I totally get, that feeling. If you've never been in a relationship, like that's how I felt before I had my first boyfriend, you know what I mean? And that feeling is completely valid, so I totally got where she was coming from. The responses to her video, were different. I feel like there was quite a bit of empathy. People understood where she was coming from, So to fast forward a year later and see two black women pretty much doing the same thing, and the response being just not the same, I was like, yeah, we have a problem here. I mentioned how black women being vocal about their pain is not normalized enough. As someone who does post content like this where I talk about my own personal issues, it is a lot. I haven't always been this way. I first started doing it in my music by, writing things that are personal, and then eventually I was like, let's sit down and talk about it on camera. And it wasn't until actually a really good friend of mine, Quinn, she actually had this tweet, and she mentioned me in a group of other young black women where we get on camera and we talk about things we're struggling with, that we're dealing with, that we've overcome. And she said she really admired that. And I think it was one of the first times where I truly felt and believed that my empathy, my sensitivity, my vulnerability, whatever you want to call it, that was the first time I realized that in a sense it was like my superpower. And growing up, I can tell you personally, when I realized I was one of those people that's going to feel a lot, it was too much for me, essentially. Like, I felt so much that I internalized a lot of things that I was going through. It really wasn't until like I was in my late teens, early 20s where I started to like allow myself to feel things, because I hated the fact that I felt so much. I was like, why am I so sensitive about this? Why does this bother me? It was overwhelming, to say the least. So now being at a point where I can get on camera and talk about certain things, it hasn't always been this way. And I guess seeing these two black women experience the backlash that they have, granted they are crying on camera, and I've never posted a video of myself crying, and actually for this reason. If anything, watching what has happened to these two black women on the internet has further solidified that there has to be boundaries with how much of myself I show being vulnerable on camera. I won't even post a video of me crying happy tears, because people can see happy tears on a black woman and turn it into something else entirely, and I would just rather keep things to myself. Like, I just feel like for me, seeing this happen all in 1 month, like in February, because I don't know when you guys are gonna see this, I just realized, I don't want to cry on camera, and I do understand how it can be jarring to see people be in hysterics, have these emotional mental breakdowns on camera. You almost feel like you're intruding on something personal. But also at the same time, I feel as though we are a generation that we do in a way appreciate people that do choose to be vulnerable in that way, or we're a generation that's always like, we want something real, we want something raw, like we really want to see people who they are. And then when people show you who they are, show you those raw emotions, those tears and those feelings, sometimes people do not know how to handle that. So it's like, we can't ask for all this authenticity, all this genuinity, and then when black women give us that, we're like, whoa, that's too much. Like, don't show us all your pain. Don't show us all your tears. Keep a little bit of it to yourself. And in a way, I guess you could say I kind of have adapted and even subconsciously realized that nobody wants to see me crying on camera. I may have gotten misty-eyed in a few music reviews, okay, if a song really touches me. You guys know if you watch my other videos. But these two situations just proved to me that there has to be some boundaries, for me, that when it comes to sharing, something online, I'm just not going to allow myself to be seen in a certain way, because I'm not going to invite people to attack me for just being vulnerable. So the second point I want to make, obviously talked about the issue and, you know, Black women being vocal about their pain, which we are seeing more and more. The response to Black women vocalizing their pain. So when you look at the quoted tweets or the replies of these videos, there's actually one reply that I'm going to include when we get to like some of our last few points. But the responses range from being very rude, maybe very few were supportive, some were very belittling, some were condescending. Seeing people be, I guess, just so mean to two women that are just talking about experiences that are painful to them, and the experiences are so painful to them that they happen to be crying on camera, which is kind of like, have y'all never experienced pain? Have y'all never experienced heartbreak? Okay, have y'all ever not been so frustrated with like dating in general in this day and age? That young woman who's talking about how she's been struggling to date, granted she's older than me, well, by the time you guys see this, I'm gonna be 24. And then, you know, she talked about how all her friends that are married or having kids, you know, are in relationships, are always like, oh, it's okay, like, you know, don't give up. Or my favorite, the classic,
oh, you don't need to be in a relationship, just love yourself. Like,
first of all, please stop telling us that. It's very annoying. Like, girl, I love myself, but I want someone to love me too. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's so weird how automatically people in relationships are just like, oh, you don't need anybody. Well, I see you and Mr. Man or you and Miss Girl doing well. Why can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I have that? And I think one of the saddest things I've noticed when it comes to responses to Black women talking about their pain is how a lot of people will try to justify it. For example, with the young woman, you know, who posted a video TikTok talking about dating, being 30 and in LA. Somebody found screenshots of some tweets where she was talking about Black men. I did not read those tweets in their entirety. I don't know how old they were, how recent they were, but basically the intent behind posting those screenshots was to say, hey, this happened to her, or this is what she's been saying about Black men. That's why, like, everything that's happening to her right now, she deserves that. I do not like, in any case, when people try to find a reason to justify someone else's pain as if they deserve something. And I feel like almost always that happens to women. Like, oh, well, she did this, she said this, so that's what is happening to her. Like, I get, you know, okay, karma, all that, but I just find it very weird that people go through such drastic lengths to justify Black women's pain. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to make this come off like a rant. I do have notes, and you guys know for these type of videos, I don't really do that, but since I'm talking about, you know, the risk of public vulnerability for Black women, I gotta make sure I'm getting every point across that I want to. And one of the reasons why I find this ridiculing, demeaning, and belittling response to Black women that are vocal about them desiring to be in relationships and wanting to be loved, right, is because this tweet right here, which summed up perfectly, it really sucks how you can live in a world where the nuclear family is at the center of all social systems, where love is considered to be the reason for living, and yet be ridiculed for expressing fear that you will never find those things. I could not have said it any better. I feel like growing up, especially if you grew up in a two-parent household, you know, you saw your parents have a healthy and flourishing relationship. Obviously, as you grew up and you come into your own, you want to have those things for yourself. Most people do, right? So when you get older and you realize some things in your life are not going to plan, when you feel a dream that you probably have had maybe since you were a young boy or a young girl, when you feel that slipping away, and you know what, actually, we're going to talk specifically for young women. Okay, when you've always had this dream of having the house, the picket fence, you know, your husband and or wife, you know, the kids, having that nuclear family love, if that is something that has always been a major goal to you, and as you're getting older, you're realizing that that dream is slipping away, it can be very devastating. And I get that 100%. As someone who is a planner, okay, there are so many things in my life when I got out of like high school, like that I thought was going to be different, okay? And actually, this was not even in my plan. I did not think that I would ever get the confidence to be on camera and talk like this, right? But when you feel dreams slipping away that you have thought about for so long and you've wanted for yourself for so long, the thought of not having those things is scary. It is devastating. And yes, I don't know about you, but it can make you cry. It can make you very emotional. And I get that because at the end of the day, I just feel like people want to be loved. People would like to be in relationships, and there's nothing wrong even with admitting that. I feel like just in general, people have like this complex of like, oh, I used to be that person, okay, like, oh, I don't want to. Look, I would like to be in a relationship. I would like to be loved. I would like to, you know, experience a love that is, you know, healthy and edifying and that can flourish. You know what I'm saying? Someone that appreciates me, someone that can build me up, someone that I can, you know, give that love to and let it be reciprocal. I desire that. I want that. And that's okay. Actually, I think it's the first time I've ever said that on camera. But you get my point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to want those things. So I feel like basically what this tweet is saying, stop trying to ridicule people for wanting something that for most of our lives we have been conditioned to want and to believe that this is the reason for living. With that being said, kind of just closing out this video and going back to my notes, I myself have boundaries when it comes to being vulnerable on camera. Watching what these two Black women have experienced by just opening up about their journeys, you know, whether it be through heartbreak or just with dating, I don't want that. And I realize, you know, in general, even with the type of content that I post, you know, I'm inviting people to have opinions about it. And, you know, and I do get how some people were saying like, oh, well, the other girl who was talking about her heartbreak journey, you know, how she talked about in the video how she saw the signs, you know, but she ignored them because she wanted that love so bad she was willing to ignore all the signs. And I feel like, man, I really do not like this high horse. People act like all those red flags are not green or all these red lights are not green lights. Please stop acting like you've never been there, never experienced that. Maybe you never have. But I feel like it's really weird to belittle someone for, or lack of better terms, call them stupid for choosing to ignore something, because when you want something so bad, you will dismiss a lot. You will make a lot of excuses. But lastly, my message to Black women that choose to be vulnerable on camera and to show themselves in that way: keep doing you. I appreciate you. What you are doing is important. Your sensitivity, your vulnerability, that is your superpower. Do not let anyone deter you from sharing an experience or a feeling, especially if you think it can help somebody else. I just want Black women that choose to do this to take heed to the fact that you are inviting people to belittle you, to be mean to you, to be condescending. That unfortunately comes with the territory, and our tears do not get the same empathy as white women tears. That's just fact of the matter. If you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. It's really just the point. And this is just something that I hope it does not become a trend. Yes, I've seen it happen twice in 1 month. I hope it's the last time, but please stop sharing videos of Black women crying to Twitter. The audience is different there. Okay, I've talked about how I know, you know, social media, videos across platforms. I get all that. Trust me, okay? I get it. I'm on here. But please be conscious. I know your intentions may be pure, but I feel like the second you start seeing overwhelmingly negative things being said, condescending, demeaning things, take the video down, okay? And if Black women posted their video to a certain platform, it was for a certain reason, okay? I believe there was a reason in particular why those women chose to post their videos to TikTok and not to Twitter. I know we like to joke, I know we like to have fun, but let's just keep that in mind. Black women, I love you. To all of you guys that love and protect Black women as well, I love you too. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Click that bell so you get notified every single time I post. Like I said, I know I do music reviews, but every once in a while I get deep in my little video essay bag, you know what I'm saying? I'm a singer-songwriter, and you know, but today I was writing some notes, you feel me? I was talking about important things. Love and appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time with another video.